Right, today in geometry, we are looking at section 12.4, volume of prisms. So first, let's recall what is a prism. A prism is a polyhedron with two congruent parallel faces, which are called bases. The non-base faces of a prism are called lateral faces. The volume of a solid is the number of cubic units contained in its interior. So remember, with area, our units are squared. With volume, our units are cubed. Volume of a cube postulate. The volume of a cube is the cube of the length of its side. So the formula for volume of a cube, volume equals the side cubed. The volume congruence postulate tells me that if two polyhedra are congruent, then they have the same volume. The volume addition postulate tells me that the volume of a solid is the sum of the volume of all of its non-overlapping parts. So we're going to start out with the volume of a prism. The formula for volume of a prism is V equals capital B times H, where B is the area of the base, just like it was when we did lateral area and surface area, and H is the height of the prism, just like when we did lateral area surface area. So in this picture, you can see that this would be my base, and then I would have, it's not shown, but I would have another one on the bottom. So this is the base. This would be the height. So we're going to start out nice and easy. The rectangular prisms, those were the easiest with lateral area and surface area. They are also the easiest with volume. Okay? So the volume of this, the area of the base, my base is this rectangle, right? And so the area of a rectangle is length times width, so 16 times 5 times the height of the prism, which is 10. So I just need to multiply these three numbers together on a rectangular prism. So 10 times 5 is 50. 50 times 16 is 800. And then my units were feet. Anytime I find volume, it's cubed. So 800 cubic feet. The volume of a cube is 90 cubic inches. Find X. So this time they give me the volume. They want to know what was the side length. But here, remember, it tells me it's a cube. And at the top, we saw the volume of a cube postulate. So the volume of a cube is S cubed, right? So now I'm just going to substitute in what I know. I know that the volume is 90. So 90 equals, in this case, S is X cubed. I need to solve for X. It's being cubed, so to undo a cube, I take the cubed root of both sides. The cubed root of 90, right? So X is approximately 4.48815 inches. Again, I'm going 4 decimal places. The next one, we want to find the volume of this. So here, okay, this prism is a pentagonal prism. So the volume for a pentagonal prism is going to be the area of the base. The base is a pentagon, so it's 1/2 apothem times the perimeter, and then times the height of the entire prism. In this case, they give me the apothem is 2.8. So I have everything that I need here. So the volume is equal to 1/2, the apothem 2.8, the perimeter, so each side is 4. There are 5 sides, so 4 times 5. And then the height of the entire prism is 6. So I just want to multiply all of this together. So when I multiply all of that together, I end up with 168. My units were meters. It's volume, so it's cubed. So now we flip it over. We have a triangular prism. So the volume of a triangular prism, the area of the base, it's a triangle, so the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height of the triangle times the height of the entire prism. So if I look at this triangle, this is what I'm trying to find the height of, right here. So if I pull that triangle out, I know that my hypotenuse was 16. The height is what I'm looking for. The entire thing started out being 20. Cut it in half, so 10. So I can do Pythagorean theorem here. So h squared plus 10 squared equals 16 squared. So I have h squared plus 100 equals 256. H squared equals 156. So h is the square root of 156. So now the volume is 1/2 the base of my triangle, 20. The height of my triangle I just found to be the square root of 156 times the height of the entire prism, which is 13. So now if I multiply all of that together, I end up with 1,623.7 cubic feet for the volume. Let's look at the next prism. This one is a pentagonal prism. So remember here, it's still volume equals 1/2 apothem times perimeter times the height. So here I am given that the side is 4. I need to find my apothem. Okay. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a hexagon. So to find my central angle, 360 divided by 6 is 60. So when I draw half the triangle, I cut 60 in half. So I end up with the 30, 60, 90 triangle. I'm looking for my apothem. The bottom side, the whole thing was 4. I cut the triangle in half, so half of 4 is 2. I could do SOHCAHTOA, but it's a 30, 60, 90 triangle, and I know those shortcuts. I have the short leg. I'm looking for the long leg. So the long leg is always the short leg times the square root of 3. So my apothem is 2 square roots of 3. So my volume is 1/2 my apothem, 2 square roots of 3, times the perimeter. Okay. It has 6 sides, and each side is 4, so 4 times 6. And then the height of the entire prism, which is 9. So now for this volume, I want to multiply all of that together. And when I do, I end up with 374.1 cubic centimeters. The next prism we're going to look at is another triangular prism. So again, the volume is equal to the area of the base. It's a triangle, 1/2 base times height of the triangle times the height of the entire prism. And here they give me the height of the triangle and the base of the triangle. They give me the height of the prism. So I notice that this is an oblique triangular prism. I still find it the exact same way. It's just my height, remember, is on the outside. So my volume is equal to 1/2 the base of the triangle, 2.8, the height of the triangle, 1.6, the height of the entire prism, 4.2. So when I multiply all of those together, I end up with 9.4 cubic centimeters. So now the next one, I notice this is not any of the prisms that I recognize, but this is like when we did the area of composite shapes. We're now going to do volume of composite shapes. So I see that I can split this up into a bottom and a top piece and find the volume of each individual. So if I find the volume of the bottom one, it's a rectangular prism, right? So the volume of a rectangular prism is length. The length is 10 times the width. The width is 10 times the height. The height is 8. So 10 times 8 gets me 800 cubic units. So this bottom is 800. Now I want the volume of the top one. Again, it's a rectangular prism. So the length, this time this is all of my length. It told me that the whole thing down here was 10. This part is 2, and this part is 2. So 10 minus 2 is 8, minus 2 is 6. So my length is 6. My width is still the 10. The height, they told me that the entire height here was 12, but this part of it was 8. So 12 minus 8, the height of this one is 4. So when I multiply those three, I get 240 cubic units. So the top is 240. So if I add those together, I get the total volume. So 800 plus 240 gives me 1,040 cubic units. So we treat the composite ones just like we did when we were doing area of composites. And next page, another kind of composite shape, right? They want me to find the volume, but I noticed that this is hollow on the inside, right? So if I find the volume of the entire rectangular prism, then the volume of what's hollowed out and subtract it, I will have the volume of the shell. So first, the volume of the total rectangular prism, so length, width, height. So 5 times 5 times 6 gets me 150 cubic centimeters. Now the volume of the inside, 4 times 4, it's still 6 long, so 4 times 4 times 6 gets me 96 cubic centimeters. This time I want to subtract them, so the volume of the shell, 150 minus 96 gets me 54 cubic centimeters. So now we're going to look at the word problems. So the first one, it says to resurface a football field, it was dug 6 inches deep. Okay, so let's first think about a football field. What shape are we? A rectangular prism. So I'm just going to kind of draw that out so I can get an idea of what I'm looking at. So here's my football field, 6 inches deep. Okay. How many cubic feet? So right here, I notice I have inches. I want cubic feet of dirt are necessary. It tells me a football field is 65 yards wide and 120 yards long. So I've got inches and yards, but I want my answer in feet. So I'm going to go ahead and change the inches and the yards to feet before I find the volume. So if I do 6 inches, I want to change that to feet. Well, I know that there are 12 inches in a foot. So 6 divided by 12, I get a half a foot. Okay, so it's a half foot deep. So now I have 65 yards. I know that there are 3 feet to a yard, so times 3 gets me 195 feet. 120 yards times 3 gets me 360 feet. So now I know this is 195, this is 360, and it's 1/2. So the volume is 195 times 360 times 1/2. Multiply all of that together, and I get that the volume is 35,100 cubic feet. So the trick on this one was to notice that I had all of these different units and change everything to the units that they asked for, and then find the volume. One last example. What is the volume of a 12 by 5 by 2 foot waterbed mattress? A mattress is a rectangular prism. So, rectangular prism, the volume, I just multiply the 3 numbers together. So I find that the volume is 120 cubic feet of water. Then it says to the nearest pound, what is the weight of the water in the mattress if water weighs 62.4 pounds per cubic foot? I have 120 cubic feet. Water weighs 62.4 pounds per cubic feet. So if I multiply those, I get that it is 7,488 pounds. That's a lot of weight, okay? So we would want to be very careful where we placed that waterbed so that it didn't go crashing through the floor. Okay, so that wraps up section 12.4, volume of prisms.